Okay, so once again, welcome to your financial market class. Today we'll discuss about stock market. No? So remember, under capital market, one of the classifications of financial market, we have equity and bonds. No? So with equity, we're dealing with the stocks. These are the certificate of ownership in a corporation, and bonds, the certificate of indebtedness. No? So today we'll focus on the stock market. No, we'll also cover the secondary market. Also, I've discussed that during my discussion in module 1. Remember that the secondary market is basically the Philippine Stock Exchange. No? So that's where we buy and sell. That's where we buy and sell stocks. No? So that's the Philippine Stock Exchange. We'll also give you the basic of stock in investing in stocks, no? And then later on we'll talk again about the initial public offering, no? So later on as well we'll have the Kahoot quizzer, all based on the stock market discussion, no? So all right, no? So stock market, secondary markets, and the role of market makers, the mechanics of investing in securities and stocks. So later on, I'll be presenting to you the different rules, no, in investing in stocks. No? And like I said, we'll also cover the initial public offering. All right. So what are stocks? No? Stocks are shares of ownership in a corporation. The stock market is a place where stocks are bought and sold. The Philippine Stock Exchange is the corporation that governs our local stock market. No? So like I said, this is the place where people buy or invest in stocks to benefit from a company's tremendous value potential over time. No? So once you buy or invest into stock, you now become part owner of a shareholder of that, or a shareholder of that particular corporation. So imagine, class, no? We have Jollibee Food Corporation. I'm sure favorite nyo rin yan. No? So favorite yung Chicken Joy. To franchise a Jollibee stall or a franchise of Jollibee, no, it will cost you, I think, 100M if I'm not mistaken, or 50M, no, depending on the location. No? So that's how pricey the franchise of Jollibee is. But then you can be an owner of Jollibee by way of investing in stocks. No? So imagine passing through the Jollibee. No? So I'm owner of that. So yabang mo, tinuturo mo pa, pinagyayabang mo na owner ka ng Jollibee. Kasi nga, you're investing in stocks of Jollibee. So in reality, yes, you are the owner of Jollibee. Pero I'm not sure if it's appropriate for you to say, may area ko niyan, no? Basically, that's true. Pero yun nga lang, for sure, it will just be portion of it, no? So, yun lang, no? So, you can be an owner of Jollibee, no? That's what I'm trying to tell you. So how to make money in stocks? Of course, class, when you're investing, syempre meron kang ine-expect in return, no? So in investing in stocks, of course, ano ba yung pwede nating mag-gain? So number 1, price appreciation. So capital or price appreciation is an increase in the market price of the stock over time, no? Brought about by increase in potential value and the demand to buy its shares. No? So the faster a company can grow, the faster its price can appreciate. No? So later on, we'll also have some companies, no, examples of companies. So from IPO, so from initial public offering, nasaan siya yung price niya, tapos until 2020. So para lang makita natin yung increase in the price, no. So especially during pandemic, no. So class, when the pandemic started last year, the market was down. All the prices were also down, no, at that time. So sabi nga ng mga investors at that time, meron daw sale in the market, no, because when when the prices of these stocks are down, no, so essentially, especially those traders and investors, they tend to buy, no. So imagine the because of the pandemic, prices are down, so they have the opportunity to buy number of stocks, no. And also during our first discussion, I've talked about the difference between investing and trading, no. Basically, when you say you're trading, it's short term, no? So whenever there's an increase in the price of the share, you either buy or sell, no? Just to get money out of it, no? That's short term, no. In terms of investing naman, really it's forward looking, no. So more on you're investing in stocks for retirement purposes, or just to hold it in the long term, no? So that's the difference again of investing and trading, no. So another way to make money out of investing in stocks is through dividends, no. So dividends basically is your share of the profit, no. So remember, this is BSA, no. This is accountancy class, no. So remember, um, towards the end of the year, you'll be reporting a net income, you know, then you'll transfer it to retained earnings. So portion of the retained earnings, especially the unrestricted ones, will be split between shareholders, no? So that's what we call dividends. It can be in the form of cash or additional shares, no? We'll also cover this in module 3. So we'll cover different types of dividends, no, in our next session. So why invest in the stock market, no? History has proven that investing in quality stocks can provide greater returns than most investment instruments. This offers you the best chance in achieving your financial goals and gives you the ability to later enjoy the benefits of your money working for you. The track record of the stock market also shows that a good basket of stocks climb more often than decline, reducing risk over the long term, no. So basically, class, what is this telling us is there's higher return in investing in stocks than putting your money in the savings account, no. So in savings account nga, class, it could be lower than 2% pa, no, annually, no. So imagine putting your money in there, it will just grow by less than 2%, no. And yet when you invest it in stock market, so right now the average return, no, in stock market is around 10%, no. So that's well, that's a comparison, no. So 10% versus 2%, no, or less in just in putting it in a savings account, no? All right. So what are the golden rules, no? Golden rules in investing in stocks. Of course, discipline and the right method are the key to a successful stock investment program. But we have these 4 essential rules, no? So number 1, invest early. Number 2, invest regularly, and invest long term, and invest using diversification. Okay. So invest early. So imagine, class, imagine yourself investing as early as now, no? So you're at 20, you're on your 20s, no. So imagine yourself investing while you're on your 20. How much will your money grow in 40 years time, no? So later on we'll discuss this, no. We'll discuss that. Invest regularly, meaning imagine your 25,000 pesos, no? So yun lang pinag-uusapan natin, 25,000. You're going to invest 25,000 each year until your retirement. So ano ba nasa isip mong retirement age? Usually it's 65, no? So kung 20 ka ngayon, you still have 45. No? Tagal naman ang pinag-uusapan natin, sir. Sabi mo, pamute naman ako konti. Sabi mo, masyado namang forward-looking yun. Nag-aaral pa lang ako. Siyempre, ganun tayo mga accountant. No? We're forward-looking. Imagine right now, you're already calculating how much will your money worth, no, in 45 years time. So that's investing regularly. So in terms of investing regularly, saglit lang ha. Okay. So in terms of investing regularly, there's also an element of compounding. So imagine class, year one, you've invested 25,000. And then, like I said, you have 45 long years to go before your retirement. No, so you're 20 now. You're planning on retiring at the age of 65. So there's 45 years. No, so each year you invest 25,000 na lang kamo each year. So the element of compounding is basically kung magkano yung return mo from that initial 25,000, inire-reinvest mo yon, and then dadagdag ka ulit another 25,000 by year 2, no? So we compound it, and then how much will your 25,000 in year 1, 25,000 and the additional 25,000 each year will be worth by the time that you reach 65 years old, no? So later we'll also uh, demonstrate that, no? Now invest long term. So of course, class, especially in your basic accounting, no? So the startup, no? The startup companies, they are struggling at the very first few years of their operation, but that's understandable, no? Kasi usually they're invested so much, and then usually the payback period naman will take say five years or so, no? So what I'm trying to say is, especially for the startups, no, it's just understandable that um, they're projecting net losses, no, for the first few years of operation. But then um, these companies, they grow, no, throughout time, no. So like for example, Jollibee Food Corporation or um, San Miguel Corporation, no. So they started also not as big as what they are right now, no. So in terms of investing long term, you're actually taking the risk with these companies that they'll be able to sustain their operations long term, no? That they will be able to manage their corporate governance, and then their operations in the long run, no? So that's investing long term. Now, how about investing using diversification, no? So plus, when we say diversification, basically, it's just telling us not to put all our eggs in one basket, no. So imagine when pandemic hit, no. Ano ba yung mga industries na talagang greatly impacted, no? So sabihin mo talaga natin na halos lahat naman, pero meron talaga mga industries talaga na um, they're say hit hugely by the pandemic, no. One example is Pogo. Syempre, these companies from China, they're hiring Filipinos, no, to manage their casino operations abroad, no, or in China. But when pandemic hit, of course, bawal lumabas. So walang casino. So yung mga Pogo, even yung mga BPO, uh, some of them were forced really to close their businesses. So, but what if all your investments, all your money, you place it in BPO or in Pogo? So imagine the losses that you can incur from not diversifying your investment, no? So basically, class, diversification is putting your investment in different industries, no? So that when say when a economic downturn or economic situation happens, or like this, no, pandemic happens, it won't be I mean, it will, the risk will also be scattered, no. So hindi lang siya sa iisa, no. So another good example is pharmaceutical company, no. back in 2012, tama ba? Yeah, back in I was previously employed with Pfizer. Back in 2012, I'm not sure if you're familiar with MDRP, the maximum drug retail price. So basically, the Senate or the Congress, they passed a law at that time fixing the prices for medicines, no? Syempre, Pfizer, it's a multinational company. They have research and development. So they're really putting a premium in their medicines, no? Kasi nga naman hindi naman 'yan basta hinalo-halo lang, no? There's science between those medicines. So unlike these generic manufacturers, they they just manufacture it based on formula, no? So kaya kaya nilang ibaba yung price talaga ng mga generic medicines, no? But imagine the losses at that time that carried out by the multinational companies, no? Like Pfizer, J&J, GSK. So they were really hit badly at that time, no? So imagine again, you have placed all your investments in these companies, no? And at that time, they were really hit. Unless you're investing long term, probably you won't mind, no? Kasi syempre, makakabawi rin naman sila. Yun ang mentality ng investor, no? As against traders. Kasi traders, like I said, it's short term, no? Compared with investing, no? All right. So discussion problem number 1, invest early. So if Piolo invested 25,000 at the age of 25 and he managed to have investment grow by 8% a year, 40 years later, ito na nga, gusto niya mag-retire at 65, no? How much will his investment be worth, no, at 65, no? So let me share my screen. And go to the solution. Okay. So discussion problem number 1 at ang pinag-uusapan natin dito, take note class ha, meron si Piolo 25,000 pesos. He's 25 years old and he managed to grow it 8% a year. 25,000 pesos lang pinag-uusapan natin. Ngayon, magkano yung worth ng 25,000 pesos na yon 40 years later? No? Class, what I'd like you to focus here is the growth in funds, no? Yung capital appreciation, not the formula, because we have a separate module for the time value of money. Basically, what I'd like you to focus here is yung kung magkano nag-grow yung pera ni Piolo na 25,000 na ininvest niya as early as the age of 25, no? So look at this class na. At the age of 25, he invested 25,000 and grow it by 8% a year. Imagine 40 years later, yung 25,000 niya naging 543,000 na. What if makulit si Piolo? He started, instead of starting at 25, nag-start siya at the age of 35. Okay pa rin, no? Because that 25,000 will be 251,000. What if, sabi niya kasi life begins at 40 daw, no? So 45 pa nga. Okay pa rin. Magiging 116 lang siya. Pero makulit talaga siya, 55. So in 10 years time, magre-retire na siya. Yung 25,000 niya, naging 53,000 lang. No? Okay pa rin in the sense that it still appreciates, but then look at the difference. No? If you invest as early as 25. No? So ito yata right after, I think, around 21, 22 yata, graduate na kayo no? So CPA na kayo by 23, nagbi-build na kayo ng ng career at around 24 and 25. So probably 25, yun ka siguro yung best age to start investing. But if you're able to start it as early as now, much better, no? So what I'm trying to say here, to put emphasis here, is that there's really a need to invest early, especially lalo na sa atin mga accountant, no? We're managing our finances, and syempre forward looking tayo, no? Imagine ngayon pa lang nasa undergrad ka, ang pinag-iisipan mo na retirement, no? Baka mamaya ang usapan niyo na with your parents is I'd like to retire at 40, no? So ganyan ka lupit yung vision mo, no? Na gusto mo makapag-retire ng 40. Again, that's possible, no? If you start investing early. Now, what if, ito naman, problem number 2 tayo. If Piolo invested 25,000 at the age of 25, allowing this also to grow by 8% a year, plus adding another 25,000 every year thereafter until he retires. Piolo will eventually retire with how much money? Oh, imagine class ha, ganito lang naman sinasabi niyan. Year 1, meron kang 25, meron si Piolo 25,000. Year 2, mag-a-add ulit siya ng 25. Yung kanina kasi example natin, 25,000, yun lang, one time, big time. Nilagay niya sa stocks, na-grow by 8%. No? This time, si Piolo, paano ba? Naging habit niya na yung mag-invest. So, he allocates 25,000 pesos each year. So, that 25,000 invested every year thereafter until he retires at 65 will grow to as much as 6.5 million pesos. So kung nag-start naman siya by 35, no? So magiging 2.8 million. Eh what if he started at 45? Okay pa rin with 1.1 million. Even at 55 with 362,000, provided that the annual rate of return is at 8%. Mind you, class, this example is very conservative. Why? Because the stock exchange right now is growing on an average by 10%. So these figures are projected at 8%, pero kung sa actual scenario pala, class, it's growing by 10%. So it can be more than what's presented in our example. No? So again, class, ang gusto ko lang namang ipaintindi sa inyo dito is yung concept of investing in stock. No? So at least you can appreciate as early as now why it's important and how it can help you, no, in terms of your retirement in the future, of your needs in the future. No? All right. So let me share my presentation again. Okay. So ayan. Invest long term, no? So the chart here actually is the current PSEI index. So later on, I'll discuss more about this PSEI index. What is this all about? But basically, the trend is an upward, no, an upward trend, no. So even during the pandemic in 2020, like this, no. So when when we hit by the pandemic, the early stage, no, it went down, but it's now recovering, no. So there are instances. This is from 2012 to 2021, but the next slide. Look at this last, no. So in January 1987, the PSEI is just 440 pesos. And in 2019, it grew to 7,815. So that's how much, no? Saglit lang, computin ko, no? So that's roughly 16.76 times increase, no? So imagine, class, if you're investing long term, so you have invested in 1987, it can grow up to 16 times, no, by year 2019. Now, PSEI, this is basically um, the gauge, no, to gauge how the Philippine Stock Exchange performs, no. Okay. So if you're investing long term, especially for the blue chips, no. When we say blue chips, these are the top performing companies or publicly listed companies, no. So one of them is Jollibee. So like I said, we'll we'll discuss PSEI more, no, later, no. So next, invest using diversification. So the management of risk should always come hand in hand with your choice of investment. One way of containing risk is through diversifying or by spreading investments around and away from one single class, no. As the saying goes, do not put all your eggs in one basket. Gigit na lang ako. Nawawala ako sa screen. So moreover, try to allocate your capital evenly to a number of stocks in different industries or sectors so as not to put too much risk in one area. Parang like in my given example earlier, no. So what if all your money you put it in Pogo or in BPO, then pandemic hits, no. So imagine the catastrophe that it will I mean, it will give to you, the mental stress, the emotional stress, no? Kasi syempre pera yan, no? Kahit sabi mong pera yan, no? So that's the mentality, of course, of every investor, no? So diversification is basically trying to put your investments in different industries across, no. So there's just not, do not limit yourself in one industry only, so that whenever there are events, no, events like this, so sabihin natin there are new government regulations, syntax, for example, um, when it was released, I think 2018, if I'm not mistaken. Imagine yung price ng cigarette, no? So from I think 4 pesos naging 12 pesos per stick, no? So I'm not smoking, no. So but I'm the only one not smoking in my entire family. So that's why I kind of know the prices of those cigarette sticks, no. So even ito pala, juice drinks, yung powder drinks, class. Hirap din pala pag ano, no, wala akong kausap. Nakikita ko lang yung mukha ko. Anyway, even yung favorite ko kasi yung yung Nesty iced tea, no? So back then parang 10 pesos lang siya, pero ngayon magkano na, nasa 32 yata per pack, ano. So again, that's brought about by government regulations, and as you can see, even government can actually make a difference, no, in terms of the stock prices, no. So that's what I'm trying to say. All right. So eto na, what is PSEI? The Philippine Stock Exchange Composite Index, or PSEI, provides investors and market participants a point of reference, no, that can measure the performance of Philippine stock market. It is composed of 30 common stocks listed companies which are carefully selected by the Philippine Stock Exchange. Balikan natin yung concept ng financial market. So remember, you have the financial market. Below that is short-term and capital market, which is the long-term. Then below capital market is bonds and equity. At ang pinag-uusapan natin is equity. So in equity, meron kang tinatawag na initial public offering or yung primary market, and then after mo ma-launch yung IPO or yung initial public offering, lilipat ka na ngayon sa secondary market. This Philippine Stock Exchange is the secondary market. This is where we buy and sell stocks, no, of a corporation. Now, what's this PSEI basically is measure or a gauge for us on how to see whether Philippine Stock Exchange is performing. Nagpe-perform well ba? So PSEI ang tinitignan natin. So kanina in my example, imagine from how much is that? 540 to 6,540 pesos in 1987 to 7,800 pesos in 2019. No? So that's how well Philippine Stock Exchange performed, no, throughout the years. No? So again, PSEI, it's composed of 30 top performing companies in the Philippines. No? It serves as an indication on how Philippine Stock Exchange performs. No? So yun lang yung tatandaan natin dyan, class. Okay. So what are the companies included in PSEI? Of course, we have a variety of industries. No? So we have Avoitis from holdings. No? We have the Ayala Land from real estate. Also DMCI. Yan. Ito, sa mga parents, no? Sa, lalo ngayon, no? Emperador. Yan, gustong-gusto nila yan. Of course, we have Globe Telecom. Kahit mabagal, andyan siya. Ito, favorite nating lahat, Jollibee Food Corporation. Sino dyan yung hindi makabuo ng isang linggo without eating Chicken Joy? Talagang gumaganon ako. Of course, Manila Meralco, no? Manila Electric Company, Mega World, MPIC. This is managed by Manny Panghilinan, no? So this is a group of companies, no? So one part of this is yung group of hospitals. Basically, he bought all the small private hospitals. Di nga lang small, eh. Even Makati Med, Medical City, Lourdes Hospitals, and another chain of hospitals, no, under Metro Pacific Investment Corporation. What else? Ayan, PLDT, isa pang. Actually, happy naman ako sa internet connection ko. It's not PLDT, no? It's Converge. Na-mention ko lang dahil napag-usapan ng PLDT. So of course, we have San Miguel Corporation. Ang daming pinapagawa. Hindi lang siya sa food and beverage ngayon. SMC also owns Petron, di ba? Ayan yung mga banks na kilala natin. Metro Bank, that's Metropolitan Bank. SM Investment, syempre hindi papahuli. Lalo na ikaw, lagi ka nagmo-mall. Talagang ikaw, no? Syempre miss mo na yan dahil nasa bahay tayo. Anyway, okay lang yan. And the Universal Robina Corporation. So basically, these 30 top companies compose the PSE or the Philippine Stock Exchange Index. Again, PSEI is the measure of how Philippine Stock Exchange performs. And based on our discussion, it's really performing very well. No? So imagine from 500 pesos in 1987, it's 7,800 in 2019. Kung hindi nga nag-pandemic, baka it's higher na, no, at this stage. No? But then it's recovering. No? So that's how to assess it. So why invest? Number one is it is to safeguard your capital against inflation. Basically, class, inflation is the increase in the prices. No? So ito nga, in our example, Jollibee, talagang favorite kong Jollibee. No? So one piece Chicken Joy, in 1997, it only cost 34 pesos. So imagine, class, in 2020, naging 84 pesos. And now, they're projecting it to be at 184 pesos by 2040. 184, class, that's a whole chooks to go chicken na. It's another favorite of mine. No? So, but what I'm trying to emphasize here, class, is kung hindi ka nag-invest at ganito yung inflation, ganito kataas yung presyo at yung income mo stays or steady lang. So kung bawa kumikita ka 10,000 pesos na lang, ha? 10,000 pesos ka nung 1997. Pagdating ng 2020, 10,000 pesos ka pa rin. Kasi hindi ka nag-invest, wala kang other source of income. Imagine, yung 10,000 mo nung 1997 compared with your 10,000 pesos in 2020, with the inflation, sobrang liit na siya. So yun class, sorry. Okay? So to safeguard your capital against inflation, no? Okay. So how the stock market works, no? So during my discussion in module 1, I've talked about call financials, no? This is not a promotion, but then I've used call financial for long time ago, for a long time, you know. So basically we have the stock exchange. This is the Philippine Stock Exchange, no? Again, this is the marketplace, no? This is where we buy and sell stocks, no? But again, we can't really buy or sell stocks directly. We have to have platforms. So these are the brokers, no? So one of them is Call Financials. No? What I suggest you to do is to Google mo yung Call Financial. At least you would know how it works. No? But basically, they're there to be the intermediary between the seller or between the investor or trader and the stock exchange. No? So meron silang platform, dun ka bibili ng stocks na gusto mo. Okay? So that's how stock markets work. But how do I earn? No? So kanina pinag-uusapan natin palagi is through price appreciation. Paano ba yan? Para mas ma-appreciate, no? Let's take Wilcon. Ito yung nagbebenta ng mga hardware materials, di ba? Let's take Wilcon as an example. Imagine in 2017, no, when they first issue or when they went public in 2017, the price of their stocks is just 5.05. Computin natin yung difference, ha? 5.05 in 2017. In a matter of 4 years, in 2020, it grew to 15.80. And that's more than 200% increase. So imagine yourself, if you have invested, sabi mo lang 1 million pesos with Wilcon, no, in 2017, sabi mo lang na malapakyaw ka, no? So nagboxing ka, marami kang premyo na uwi, no? O ikaw na lang si Heidelin. Ang dami mong prizes from or pledges from winning the first gold medal, no? And then you invested it in Wilcon in 2017. So imagine yung pera mo by 2020 with the price appreciation, no? So yun lang, class. What I'm saying is you can earn from stock investing through price appreciation, no? Binili mo ng 5.05, 15.8 na siya by 2020, no? Or in 2020. Okay? How do I earn another one? Is through dividends. Again, class, next session we'll capture more on dividends. But basically, like I've discussed earlier, this is your share in the profit of the company. But let's take a look at this example. Imagine, meron kang stocks with Meralco. Etong si Meralco, nag-declare ng dividends, no? For every share, magbabayad daw siya ng 5.2. 5 pesos yan, class, ha? And 5.1 at saka 4.6. Ang yabang mo niyan. Sabi mo sa mommy mo or daddy mo, I'll pay the electric bill this month, no? Well, because you earn from your investment, no? From your investment in Meralco, no? Through dividends, no? So ganun, may yabang na element talaga 'yan, no? Okay. So I hope at this stage, no, medyo na-appreciate nyo na yung basic of stock investment, no? But again, just to differentiate this investment with other types of instruments. So like if you put your money in a time deposit, it will earn daw 2.4%. If you put it in a savings account, ayun na nga, 2.3%. Pero I'm sure it's lower, no, with other banks. I'm pretty sure it's just below 2%, if I'm not mistaken. Now, for stock investment, it's growing 10.2%, no? So that's based on a 15-year annualized returns, no? So imagine putting your money in stock market versus putting your money in a time deposit or in savings. It can grow 5 times pa nga, in stock market, and the level of inflation rate is 3.8%. So imagine your money being placed in a time deposit. It's growing by 2.4%, and yet the inflation rate is at 3.8%. So meaning hindi nakakahabol yung money mo, no? So kaya marami hindi nakaka-afford ng cost of living, because the cost of living it's really increasing, no? At yan yung nagdi-dictate kasi niyan, yung inflation rate natin. While if we invest in stocks, so imagine the rate of return is at 10.2%. It's very well. I mean, you can cope up with the high inflation rate of 3.8%. No? Mukha na ba akong dito, marketing person? No? So pwede ko na kayo talagang mahikayat na mag-invest in stock. No? But again, this is purely concepts. No? There are different elements to it. No? So syempre, you have to, yun nga, naging practice natin last week. We've discussed your risk appetite. No? In fact, you have to really assess, no, what type of investor are you. Saan ka ba mag-invest? Kasi usually, even an investor, meron kasi mga ethical behavior yan. Like, I don't like to invest in tobacco industry because I don't support that industry. No, I think it can cause harm to people. No, something like that. No, meron namang I won't support fast food chains. Ganun, no? Kasi healthy living ako. I'm just stating some examples naman. No? Like I said, it can be different, no, from one person to another. All right. Okay. So let's now talk about this, no, initial public offering. So an initial public offering refers to the process of offering shares of a private corporation to the public in a new stock issuance. An IPO allows a company to raise capital from public investors. So one good example of a recent IPO is with Mond Nissin. If you're familiar with, I'm sure you're familiar with the chocolate wafer. So it's being manufactured by Mond Nissin. So previously it's a private company. They went on public. They went on initial public offering. So it's now in the secondary market. Their shares are now traded in the Philippine Stock Exchange. No, so as an assignment to you, look for other companies. No, recent initial public offering. No, so assess the nature of their business and then comment on whether you're going to invest. No, say. You have the ability or you're able to invest. No? Will you invest in this company? Why or why not? No? Kasi what I'd like you to appreciate is as early as now, makita mo yung price niya. No? Para manghinayang ka in 5 years time. So sabi mo, ay sayang, kung nakita ko na sana yung company na to, meron na sana akong pera. Since I'm still in the undergrad, wala pa. No? So focus muna ako sa studies ko. Okay lang naman yun. All right, so that's the concept of initial public offering. And actually, that ends our discussion. No? So thank you for listening. I'll give you 5 minutes